Welcome in to the Spence and Serge show. We are back and we are going to talk some NFL football. We'll talk Eagles-Niners right now. Is that Brock Purdy was able to hit Christian McCaffrey, and the Eagles couldn't cover McCaffrey. They couldn't really cover Kyle Juszczyk. The Niners hit one big play with Jennings, the reverse pass to Christian McCaffrey, which was a really good call. And I thought that they just toughed it out. Now, it's really the Eagles' offense. A.J. Brown really struggled, and I'm going to let Serge take it from here. I guess the blame can again be on this offense for this loss.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, the overarching theme of the whole season was the sputtering offense and the lack of creativity. I mean, I don't even, it's kind of going to sound redundant at this point if you've watched any of our past episodes or if you didn't even hear me speak outside of this. Pretty much, I've been the number one supporter since like week 2. We got to fire Kevin Patullo, but it's even worse than that. And if you look back at our, like, just a microcosm, right? If you just look at, like, zone in on one portion of the game, let's go with that last drive, right? The Eagles ran more hitch routes than any team in the league by, like, a vast majority. I mean, that's the metric's been out there all season. But on the end of that last drive, you ran almost exclusively spread 2x2 the whole drive. You ran 4 different times, 4 verts. You ran the same play over and over and over and over and over again, and you basically were just hoping that, like, my players are just going to be better than your players. Well, it's the NFL. Like, that guy gets paid on the other side too. Like, they're not just going to let you walk in for a touchdown. I don't care the talent disparity. But also, where does the talent matter? Like, that last play of the game, you're running 4 verts. A.J. Brown out here, Devontae Smith out here, they're completely useless to the play. They're just clearing out 2 crossers. You have Jahad Dotson and Goddard. That's how you're going to live.
Why don't you throw it to AJ there?
I mean, but do you risk a 4th and 1 on, like, get a pass interference?
I don't think it was 4th and 1.
No, it was 4th and 10. I mean,
it was a long.
Do you risk a 4th down? Like, whatever the play call was, and we can also talk about
Did you know that? Yeah, you saw this on X or Twitter.
Yeah, everybody saw
how
this.
how they ran the same slant play from different. How they just changed the side of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But also, like, there was we had to burn a timeout at the end of that game, and, like, for no reason.
Because you could have stopped them and gotten the ball back.
Yeah,
now it's game over.
Yeah, now it's game over. Why you call that timeout? But first off, the inability, like, it was a common theme all year. Like, when you're breaking the huddle with, like, 15 seconds, communication cuts off at 15 seconds. That means that that coach is still giving you the play call, and you just got to go.
You can't adjust.
You can't adjust.
You can never make an
less
audible.
than 10 seconds to read what the defense is doing, and at the end of that play, you have a double mug look. We all watch film. They've been watching film all year. They knew when they get double mug, this is the percentages that they blitz. This is the percentages that they don't. They're not going to all out blitz on 4th and 10 and leave A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on any island at all. They ran quarters out of a double mug look, which is completely unnatural. Like, you don't normally run that because you're going to leave the flats wide open.
That's why I want you to do a film review,
yeah,
by the way.
And I would love to do this, but so many people have already done this, so this one wouldn't be a fun game. Look out next week for when we're going to do the divisional games. We're going to do a couple of game films, breakdowns on that. That's going to be really exciting.
Double mug look means what?
Double mug look means that you have 4 down linemen and then you have your 2 linebackers mugging the center. The center doesn't know which one he's going to pick up. So another team that really does a really good job with this is the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, Zimmerman, when they had Zimmerman, that's been their, like, Brian Flores this year runs it a lot too. He ran it in Miami as well.
Yeah.
But the basis of that is that you're both standing over the center, and the center has to decide, like, you have to be perfect in your pass protection. But either way, they dropped out of it, and they knew, all right, we have safety help basically to the sideline, like inside leverage with the safety, outside leverage with the corners. So
one of your backers, by the way, in the mug is just 2 guys over the center. One will get in the middle.
Usually.
To intercept a mesh, which is what the Eagles
That's if you
are
bring
running.
in a 5-man. But what they did
I would bring in another backer. It's rare that both of them are coming.
It's rare.
One is going to drop.
It's rare unless you know you're getting pressure. And if you're getting pressure, you're probably 0. You're probably going to be man-to-man all across the board because the safeties have to be covering somebody, and usually one of the safeties is going to be covering a running back, so he has the time to scrape and get all the way outside if a running back leaks out or comes up to the middle. It's actually a really, really good defense.
I think Robert Saleh is a solid coordinator, but I think he's also Simple.
But
I don't think he's like as eccentric.
But look, that is really simple. Usually when you have a double mug look, you have alerts. Because you know there's always the chance that they could all be coming. Usually when you set up your protection for worst case scenario to best, right? So like they were in a scat man protection, but what we did, which was stupid, was we went by leaving our running back in to block, because the worry is with our offensive line, I don't know if you know this, but they call Cam Jurgens the movable object, not the immovable, because this man is 4 yards in the backfield on a standard dive. It's actually insane, and you can look at his game film. He played awful this season. Maybe it's a little bit of the back injury.
So it wasn't Jason
over.
Kelce.
No.
I heard Mekhi Becton did poor on the Chargers, too.
Oh, did awful, but even Mekhi Becton, I don't know if you know this, but apparently him and his offensive coordinators and like all line, they don't talk after games. They don't go back over what happened that game.
Greg Roman.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why he's gone. So what do you think? So why was he effective last year, Cam Jurgens?
Cam Jurgens was effective last year because of our offensive play calling and the way that we set up.
He's also a tremendous athlete. You have to get him in space. He's
believe
a
it or
freak
not,
athlete.
Believe it or not, Jason Kelce hand-selected him in the draft to be his successor because he was undersized, very similar to Jason Kelce, and more importantly, like the one thing that Jason Kelce did a really, really good job of is there's a specific type of blocking pattern where you're sliding left and you chip, right? So when you chip that defensive lineman, what you're doing is you're shifting the tackle over to another defensive lineman.
I know what
and the
can
center,
be run. If it's Brian Daboll or Stefanski, whoever comes in, they should run running back screens. Especially if your center's getting blown up.
Right.
They always run wide receiver screens, but why not run a running back screen?
Right. Or let's get with the times here. A lot of teams are doing what's called a GT counter, which is a guard and tackle counter. That's a newer counter that's been modernized in the new play day. But that's because of the way these double mug defenses can change the way that, like, you have to figure it out. But so to finish this, at the end of that game, you basically have to just look at the backers. You're on alert everywhere you go, and you're basically snapping the ball, looking at your linebackers, and then going through your reads. Takes a long time, right? They didn't send anybody. We blocked the running back, so that means that you basically had a robber. That nickel isn't guarding anybody but all the routes are going vertical, and you're passing off because you're in quarters. You're passing off. So you had three people in the middle, and if you watch that play, when he threw it to Dallas Goedert, three people converged, and the safeties never moved because, unfortunately, Jalen Hurts didn't have the time to just look over. And what's he even going to look over at? They're all just verts. Unless you're predetermined, you've already discussed with your wide receiver, I'm throwing the back shoulder fade, there's nothing out there because their heads are up the field. They're just trying to get vertical. They're clear outs, basically.
Clear outs for nothing.
For nothing. And more importantly, you watch after we call that timeout.
Crazy.
After you call that timeout, Tanner McKee, Nick Sirianni, Patullo, and Hurts were in that huddle deciding that very last play. And you have Patullo adjusting his microphone nervously, right? And he can't figure out what play to call. And when they call it, they all go to Nick Sirianni. They're like, we're going to live and die with this play. And then you see Hurts' face when he gets out of the huddle before he puts his helmet on. He's like, he knew it wasn't going to work. Everybody knew it wasn't going to work.
Crazy. It's just, and I'm going to talk for 2 more minutes on this topic, and then we're going to wrap up this topic. I just think A.J. Brown, Sirianni doesn't need to chew A.J. Brown out publicly.
No, yeah, I'm not happy.
I didn't like that. Now, it's very interesting that Sirianni selected Kevin Patullo. I was talking today actually with Bruce the Sports Doc on another show, another co-host, and I said that Sirianni hired Brian Johnson, but he said no, that was a Laurie and Roseman hire of Brian Johnson. But really, Sirianni last year for winning the Super Bowl, he got to have the opportunity to select Kevin Patullo.
Well, I mean, I'm going to kind of push back on that a little bit.
So Sirianni needs to be a CEO type.
Well,
if you're going to be successful, and he can't handpick anybody, he just needs to let the coordinator have full reign.
Yeah, whoever mentioned that to you
about Brian Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going to push back on that because I also had sources close to the Eagles, like people inside the actual building, that mentioned that Brian Johnson. It was almost like a universal known thing that Brian Johnson was a Sirianni hire. So where that information,
Sirianni and Hurts.
No, just Sirianni.
Okay.
Brian Johnson was the QB's coach, if you remember. So he was also working close to Hurts, and Sirianni thought, okay, I'm going to have my finger on this offense, and this guy's already been working with his mechanics. Let's just keep that rolling, and we can just make him play caller. But unfortunately, play calling is an art. Like Nick Foles has mentioned, like other people have mentioned, it's just not meant for everybody. And Brian Johnson showed, because he's not being hired anywhere else, gone.
Well, yeah,
Patullo, I can't see anybody in the world that would ever hire Patullo.
The problem is too but some blame could also be on Jalen Hurts, that he doesn't like motion and he has to maybe adapt.
I disagree though, because in the last year's offense there was a ton of motion, ton of eye candy. We had a bunch of very creative play calling, and he thrived.
A little bit.
I mean,
but not like the craziest play calling.
No, not the craziest, but it was more than enough to basically make it comfortable for the quarterback to get into what he wanted to, get into a better play if he wanted to, had better answers, basically, because that was the whole talk last year was, what's the answer for the blitz? Every other offensive coordinator never had a great answer for the blitz. Even Steichen was like, meh against it, and that's where Hurts struggled the most.
And that's where Kellen Moore succeeded.
Yeah.
We are going to talk more NFL playoffs, more hires right after the break.